What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update, hit the like button and let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, I just got back a couple of hours ago from King of the Streets in Las Vegas. It was an absolutely fantastic event with great turnout, and the event was ran extremely well, on time. Everything was run just so smoothly, and the action was just consistent all day. Props to everybody who lent a hand actually making that event go as smoothly as it did, and to all of the racers that traveled from all over the United States to come compete. The winner was Clay Keats from Northern California, not too far from where I'm at, and he had just an awesome race day, consistent and fast all day long. He took home a lockbox full of a good stack of cash with him. I filmed the whole event and had a friend of mine, Ben, actually travel up from Phoenix to come help film as well. And while trying to get just the perfect shot, both Ben and I actually both got hit by RC cars that were well outside of the boundary where we expected them to be. But hopefully the video comes out well, because it was a lot of work and a long day of filming. Have to still download all the footage and hope that everything looks good. So look for that coming up in the next week or so. Next, for those of you waiting for the Axial Ryft in the United States, they're shipping. I know that the expected date was actually quite a ways out from now, but it appears that hobby shops all over the US are starting to get them already. So if you had a pre-order, it looks like you're probably going to be getting it a lot sooner than the expected date that had been put out recently. Or if you canceled your pre-order, maybe jump back in line, because it is a lot of fun to drive. And then you remember last week when we were talking about a new Ford Ranger body? Well, there's another one, a second Ford Ranger body. This one by Jconcepts. However, it is not your normal 1/10 scale truck size. This one is actually made for the Traxxas Stampede size. So it's a smaller truck body in general. But while some people were saying that the Proline one was too big because they just made it to fit most vehicles, this one is actually about a 9.5-inch wheelbase and 6 inches wide. So if you've got a much smaller platform that you're looking for a body option for, here's an option. This is an older style Ford Ranger body. If you would have told me that we were going to see two new Ford Ranger bodies in such a short amount of time, I would have bet you considerable amount of money that you would have been wrong. But here we are. And then also new from Jconcepts this week is a new DR10 carbon fiber wheelie bar. This is not the twin vertical plate style. This is the flat plate style. It comes off of the bottom of the car. Then it's got two tie rods that go back to give you some adjustable preload on it. We've seen a few other DR10 specific parts from Jconcepts, and yet here's another one. I did see those new Mamba tires at King of the Streets as well, mounted onto those Starfish beadlocks. They looked really good. Overall, it fits and feels a lot better than what the larger Proline Big Daddies felt, just because of how they have some very specific wheels made for them. So those were a cool set of wheels and tires to see actually in person. I'll link to those items as well as the rest of today's news topics in the description below. And then we got a new release from Losi with their 1969 Camaro 22S no prep drag car. This was released late last week and was actually on hand at the King of the Streets event. So I got to see this car in person, feel it out, and see exactly what it was all about. Now this is based on Losi's 22 platform. It does have an aluminum chassis, and there's going to be a number of parts intercompatibility with their other vehicles. Beyond that though, it does have that 1969 Camaro body on it, which is a 3-piece body. The main shell, it's got a front grille piece and a rear tail piece. The detail on it is very high. It's got LEDs as well to kind of add to the scale look. It's got Mickey Thompson licensed tires and some good looking wheels. The 69 Camaro body's got a big pro stock style cowl hood to it. Overall, the body just looks fantastic. In person, it looks just as good as in the photos, and the whole car just has a great look overall. It does come with a 6,500 kV brushless motor. Now that's significantly faster than the DR10 stock motor, which is something like a 3,300 kV or in that range. Now this also says that this is compatible with 2S or 3S. So out of the box, it looks like you're gonna get a pretty decent amount of speed out of this. Probably not enough speed to really be competitive in like the outlaw class of no prep racing, but for the casual person who just wants to take it out in the street and make hits up and down, it's going to be a decent amount of motor with some pretty good speed overall. So it's going to be interesting to see how that faster stock motor is preferred over something like the DR10. Overall, the car is pretty heavy with that aluminum chassis and the body with all of its details and multiple pieces. But again, it kind of adds to the scale out of the box look, especially if it's sitting there at the hobby shop. It's going to look very appealing. And the price is $399, so it's not that much more money than an associated DR10 with the value perception of the more intricate and scale licensed body, the aluminum chassis, the faster motor. It's going to be one of those things that people are going to possibly lean towards that if they're just looking at it sitting there in the hobby shop. Now, as far as how it stacks up stock performance to stock performance, we don't know that yet, but there's pros and cons to both of them already. In the end though, it's just a cool release from Losi to see what they focused on more to try and make this an appealing platform. And then alongside of that new release, they released a roller version of the same car. No electronics, no body. Still includes the wheels and tires on this one. Now, whether or not the stock Losi tires are going to be any good, that's another question as well. So maybe for the guys who are really looking to be competitive, it would have been nice to not see the tires, but it's probably a fairly small number in that overall kit and how they're offering it. So at $249 for the race roller, another nice option for guys who are going to try and pick this up and think about moving on to a much more competitive class. And while I was looking at that new Losi, just to the left of it at the Proline booth, there was two new bodies from Proline. One of them was a new Supra body. This was a fantastic looking body that Proline is going to release here in the near future. They showed some details about it as well. Alongside the release of the body, they're also going to have some 3D printable option parts that you can use. It is made to have light buckets that go behind the actual body to give it that depth, but there is going to be available the option to 3D print your own turbo inlet style replacement. Full-size Supras will oftentimes remove one of the headlights and use that area for intake to a turbocharger that will sit behind it. They're going to offer that in case you want to add that little extra bit of scale realism. They also have some 3D printable rear wings that look like the stock turbo Supra style rear wing. Now, with how many times these drag cars end up on their roof, I'm not sure that a 3D printed spoiler is a great idea, but they're going to offer it to those of us who maybe our drag car spends more time on a shelf than it does on the track. And right next to that new Supra body that's coming out was a bug body. Now, this thing was another just kind of departure. It looks like a totally different scale, but it's not. It fits the exact same drag cars in general, but it's just got a much narrower center because bugs have those large fenders. Now, some people had some concerns that you're gonna have to make sure you run belted tires because there isn't a lot of tire clearance above the rear tires with the style of a bug body. It's just kind of how that works. But if you are, this is just something that is going to make drag cars look very different. Drag cars have obviously seen a ton of body options brought out for them in a very short amount of time. This just adds to the diversity. Super happy to see the Supra, and I think that some of these bugs could end up looking really cool as well. Proline put out another teaser that they didn't actually have at the King of the Streets, and that is a new mud tire that they teased on social media. This looks like it's going to be the Interco Black Mamba tire. This tire is one that is used in the ATV mudding world in the full size, or I guess it's kind of full. Are ATVs full size? Or does it have to be a car to be full? I don't know. Half size? Either way. Mud tires specifically, it looks very narrow. I assume it's for a 1.9, could be a 2.2, could be a 2.8 like Jconcepts does. I don't know. None of that information was specifically shared yet. So we're gonna have to wait and find out all of the details on that. It's so narrow that I'm guessing it's either a 1.9 or it's one of the other sizes and they're going to release their own specific wheel alongside of it. Factory Team, one of the branches of Associated Electrics, released a new charger bag and radio bag over the last week. Now, not necessarily the most exciting thing, but some of these bags actually are pretty cool with tool storage and pouches and just different compartments inside. Looks like a pretty nice little storage option for organizing things that you're going to take. Whether you're actually going to use it for your charger or not, if you're just needing something to collect all of your things so that you can throw it in your car when you go for a trail ride or to an event, one of these could be a pretty good option for you. I'll link both of them in the description below. And then you remember the RC four-wheel drive cross country we talked about, the thing that was definitely not a Jeep. Well, doesn't seem to be listed for sale anymore on RC four-wheel drive site. And I heard whisper that maybe it was pulled. Not 100% sure yet, but right now, while RC four-wheel drive didn't remove any of their social media posts including it, can't find it on their website anymore. Do you think that the black square didn't quite cover it up enough, or do you think it's some other different reason that it doesn't seem to be available anymore? Throw out your wild assumptions in the comments below. And then we have another tease at a capo, the TW715. This is a bit of a modern Kaiser style vehicle, and I believe that there was actually a SEMA build that looked almost exactly like this, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Anyway, Capo looks like they're going to be putting this model out. They haven't released information or a form for me to send in to find out what the price is going to be. But as soon as that is, unless they release the price publicly, I'll make sure and cover that. You may remember they had that like $900 1/18 scale release just a few weeks back. So this one, along with most Capo things, usually sits in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. So if you're looking for something that's kind of like a functional scale model, or you want to take this and just use it as like the most expensive body swap you've ever used, could be cool. We're going to keep an eye on this, see what more updates come. I'll link to what information we have already though in the description below as well. And this coming Friday night live build, I'm going to be building a comp truck in one night for a competition that is happening on Saturday. So you're going to see it go from start to finish. I don't have anything pre-assembled. We're going to do everything that night. See how that goes. And it's going to be a flat rail chassis build. So come join us on Friday night to see this build take shape. For this week's question, something a little bit different. I want to know what the fastest RC you have is. I'm currently starting to play around a little bit with a new speed car, and I'm just a little bit fascinated with the area. So I want to know, what is the fastest you've made an RC go, or what's the fastest RC you've bought stock? Is it a 60-mile-an-hour Arma, or is it a 100-mile-an-hour Traxxas, or did you build up something custom? Put them in the comments below. Always interested to read your guys' comments every week. Thanks as always for watching the Scale News Update every Tuesday. If you enjoy it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already, hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.